So tell us what it was like growing up in Longview, and what do you miss most about that time and that place?
Well, Longview is a relatively small town, and we weren't really exposed that much to pop culture on the East Coast, West Coast, and I think that when we were exposed to it, we were about 3 to 5 years behind the times, and that's part of kind of what we tried to capture in our script, in our writing in this film, is that although it's a early 80s film, it still kind of feels like the 70s, and that's how it felt like when we grew up.
What does it say about Shreveport that you could go and film this movie in Shreveport, and there's very little difference between 80s Longview and present day Shreveport, Louisiana?
Yeah, Shreveport is it hasn't been really developed that quickly over the last couple of decades, so we were actually very excited to see when we went to start location scouting in East Texas and in Louisiana to find so many great locations in Shreveport that were exactly what we were looking for. I mean, it looked just like the time. It was essentially a time capsule from that time period. There hasn't been a lot of development since then. A lot of late 70s, development is still there, and we were able to capture it for the film. We probably spent about 50% of the time writing it in my house in Dallas around the coffee table, and about 50% in the house we rented down in Austin. And it was very collaborative in the sense that we would literally sit around in a room and we would write. One person would actually have a keyboard and would type while the other ones. We did it in very much like a sitcom approach, I think, where you have a lot of different writers that sit around and bounce things off of each other. We would do that for hours and hours, and then we would all go our separate ways. And typically I would take the script from that point, and then I would work it. It seems very difficult to write with more than one person, but for us it worked really, really well. I think we were able to kind of get a little deeper into the characters, and just having someone tell you that that's a bad idea, that doesn't work, no, let's don't do that. But no one gets their feelings hurt, and you're like, yeah, you're right. Someone else suggests something, and then you just know it. That's what needs to happen. Let's move and go down that thread. I mean, we spent several weekends, like we would start on a Friday, and we would not leave the house, and we would order food in. We wouldn't leave the house almost all weekend long, because it just, you have to go through every page and rework and rework. And we were on a pretty tight timeline, because we wanted to start actually going into pre-production in August, September timeframe, and we literally started the first page of the script in May. The New York Times, they were some of their reviewers watched the movie just recently, and they did a write-up this Sunday, yesterday, on it, and that was really good, because someone that's from the Northeast that has really no relation to Texas actually had a very positive response to it, and he actually likened the film to the Last Picture Show and American Graffiti, and said, this was, great job, I could really relate to it. And we're pretty careful not to try to pigeonhole the film and make it self-aware Texas or self-aware 80s, and just tell a story that's character-driven and with the backdrop of East Texas and coming out of a recession and the transition from the 70s into the 80s. When we were writing the script, I actually listened to a lot of music from that time period as inspiration, and then actually scripted in the songs as I was writing. And I did that whenever I would write a song or a scene. I would write a scene. I would put in a song. I would listen to a song and make sure it fit, and the song would help motivate me for the feeling that I wanted to portray in the particular scene. So it's not traditional in scripts to actually put songs in. It would be odd if you picked up a script or you saw a script that actually had music in it. But since we were producing it ourselves and we were on the track to make the film, it was more of a footnote for me. And each scene where I wanted music, I actually put in a song. And I spent hours in the writing process just finding the right song to set the tone for that particular scene. And fortunately, a lot of those songs made it into the film, which is very challenging given my ignorance of the music licensing process and what it would take. Because when I was putting these songs in, I had no idea how much they would cost, or that it would be that challenging. I thought, well, this is an independent film. Surely these bands just work with independent filmmakers and let you use their song, but that's not the case, I learned.
So, Brandon, you're a businessman. I think this is your first foray into filmmaking, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Well, based on your experience with Skateland, are you going to be doing more of it?
I hope so. To really do it, you have to be dedicated, and I think that I loved it so much, the creative process of it, that I want to do it again, but it will just have to be the right material, and everything will have to fall into place correctly. I don't want to just jump into do another film just to have another one on my resume. It's like starting a company or building a house or anything. I mean, once you start it, you're in it, you know, and it's going to consume your time day and night.